Well, it's a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at the Gtech Community Stadium. And the second half has just got underway. Brentford trailing by a goal to 0 against Everton. The goal scored by Anthony Gordon. Everton valued for their lead, I would say. They started the game better than Brentford. Brentford did have a few chances, hitting the post twice and missing a couple of good chances in the box as well. But Everton with this lead to hold on to. And they seemed, although they were stretched a bit at times in the first half, by and large they seemed to have a good game plan. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Ben White taking you through the action. From Everton's point of view, Ben, more of the same.
No, definitely. I don't really think Frank Lampard... Oh, we've got Brentford.
We'll just break off from that, absolutely, because the chance here down the left-hand side, Henry was chasing that one, but he actually ran the ball into Holgate, who then deflected it back into Yoan Wissa, so it's actually out for a goal kick to Everton. But from their point of view, they don't want to give Brentford too much time on the ball, but if they defend high and stay organised, they've got a good chance of stifling Brentford.
Yeah, I think for the most part the high line has worked in the first half. Interesting to see how it develops in the second. It's a difficult situation for Brentford, really, because they have had good opportunities, and sometimes Frank can't exactly go into half-time and say you need to be a bit more clinical. You can't really teach someone to be a bit more clinical in 15 minutes, but there'll be more chances coming their way for sure. As for Everton, it's a debate of whether to go for the second or just try and hold on.
Absolutely, it's a difficult balance there from Everton's point of view. Just to tell you as well, it's getting worse for Bournemouth inside the first 2 minutes at Anfield. They're now 6-0 down against Liverpool. That could turn into a real record score if it carries on at that rate. As Everton now win possession back in midfield here with Dwight McNeil. I'll just remind you of the 2 11s in a moment, just to see out this passage of play. Doesn't look like there have been any changes for either side, and in fact it won't be going back towards the halfway line now. Cody sending a long ball over the top, looking for Patterson. He heads it down, looking for Gordon. That's a strong challenge though to win the ball back, and then Matthias Jensen trying an early ball for Yoan Wissa to chase. Holgate gets there first, but he really slices his pass back towards Jordan Pickford, who then runs into Yoan Wissa, or Wissa runs into him. In the end, the ball is out for a goal kick. Just to remind you of the two teams again, David Raya in goal for Brentford, a back four of Aaron Hickey, Zanka Jorgensen, Ben Mee and Rico Henry. The 3 in midfield are Josh Dasilva, captain Christain Norgaard and Matthias Jensen, with Bryan and Mbeumo, Yoan Wissa and Ivan Toney as the attacking 3. For Everton, Jordan Pickford is in goal with the back 3 of Mason Holgate, Connor Cody and James Tarkowski. The 4 in midfield are Nathan Patterson, Amadou Onana, Alex Iwobi and Vitaly Mikalenko, with Dwight McNeil, Damari Gray and goal scorer Anthony Gordon as the attacking 3. Long clearance from Pickford, flicked on by Onana, then a ball going down the right hand side here for Patterson. Under pressure back towards Dwight McNeil's got a bit of space there, heading towards the edge of the area, tries to pick out a cross into the area as well. That one is headed away and back into midfield. A couple of goals to tell you about as well, as Chelsea, 10-man Chelsea, have taken the lead against Leicester City. We'll confirm the goal scorer in just a second, but right now here at Brentford Stadium, it's a good run down the right-hand side from Hickey, gets towards the edge of the area, gets stopped, potentially looking for a free kick, but referee John Brooks is not interested. And Everton in possession now down the left with McNeil. Gets that ball into towards Onana, who goes down perhaps a little bit too easily. Still fighting for it are Brentford, but Everton have it back now with Tarkowski's clearance up towards the halfway line, headed down by Zanka Jorgensen. Ben Mee now over towards Rico Henry, was very nearly caught in possession there by Anthony Gordon. But Brentford have it back now with Norgaard. Square towards Zanka Jorgensen, back to Norgaard. As the visitors now just forced to sit a little bit deeper, but Brentford still can't find an easy route to goal, which is a problem they had at times in the first half. Ben Mee now on the halfway line. Over towards Jensen on the left-hand side, who just dropped a little bit deeper this time again. No space for Brentford. Everton pushing forward again with that back line. Trying to condense their own half here with Jensen. Trying to find a pass here for Ivan Toney, who was brought down. And that will be a free kick. As Amadou Onana looks a little bit surprised there that the free kick was given against him. But the referee, John Brooks, is in no doubt. We'll just have a look here. There's not too much in it. Tony just tries to turn. I'm not sure Onana does too much wrong, but in those situations, if the player goes down, it's likely to go his way. No,
exactly, yeah. Onana's got tight to Tony, as he should, really. Tony's got his back to goal, and there's a chance to win possession back. But it's well... I think really it's a scenario where Tony's waiting for the contact and to sort of just win the referee over.
And the referee now getting everything organised for this free kick. It's probably a little bit too far to think about a shot. It's clipped in here by Jensen, but that's well read well tracked in the box by Alex Iwobi, who I have to say is really converted into this central midfielder. You remember him at Arsenal being a sort of attacking winger, almost a forward really, but he's settled into that central midfield role quite well, I think.
Oh no, goodness me, Alex Iwobi is one of the finest examples of a player having a remarkable recovery, likely down to under the managerial power of Frank Lampard, really. He's played in so many positions. He played in the right wing back at the beginning, and then a right winger, of course, and now centre midfield is where I think he's found his own talent, really. Yeah,
him and Amadou Onana have looked good in that central midfield for Everton today. Brentford with the throw down the left-hand side. It's just a short ball this time between Jensen and Henry. Henry then goes on the overlap, breaks into the box, gets all the way to the byline, puts a ball into the 6-yard box. It's stopped at the post by Pickford before it's cleared away by Mason Holgate. Throw on to Brentford now down the left-hand side, but that's better from Brentford. Didn't seem like they had enough space for the overlap, but Henry still got there.
No, it did. It really, in the end, it was an interception from Pickford rather than anything else. He thought it was probably more efficient to go with his feet than his hands there, and it's sharp from the England goalkeeper.
It was, says Jensen. Last time it looked like he wanted to take a long throw, but just played it short to Henry. This time I don't think there's going to be any kind of deception. It is just going to be launched here by Jensen towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Headed on, it drops inside the area. An overhead kick, and it's off the line and stopped by Pickford. How on earth has that not gone in? Really acrobatic effort there from Christain Norgaard. And we'll just see from the replay, it's just the camera angle that we had is just sort of sun going into shade. So we'll see now. It's off the underside of the bar before it hits the hand of Jordan Pickford. That's 3 times now that Brentford have struck the woodwork in this game.
The woodwork acting as Everton's 12th player really here. Norgaard he always seems like he constantly makes a nuisance of himself with these long throw-ins. It's a good first touch and then a sort of improvised overhead kick in a sense, and the bounce goes in Pickford's favour as well. It bounces off the crossbar onto his hand. It doesn't creep in and it falls kindly into his hands.
It does, absolutely. As it was a good chance there for Brentford. Christain Norgaard with the captain's armband on today, very close to giving the Bees the equaliser. 52 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary. Just to run you through the scores, it's still goalless between Brighton and Leeds. 10-man Chelsea lead 1-0 against Leicester City. The goal for Chelsea was scored by Raheem Sterling. Liverpool lead 6-0 against Bournemouth. Man City still trailing at home by 2-0 against Crystal Palace. There's a long ball now played down the middle, potentially problems for Brentford there, but eventually Mee does get it back towards David Raya as Brentford now trying a quick counter there. Damari Gray just running into Aaron Hickey and bringing him down. It's one of those clever fouls, I think, because you're never going to get booked for it, but it just slows a move down just as the opposition are trying to get into something.
No, exactly. I think Damari Gray knew he was beaten, really, given the pass that came into Hickey in his first touch was pretty solid. It was a tactical foul in every sense, really.
It was, and it paid off because Brentford could have had a quick counter from their goalkeeper, but now having to just play positionally here in midfield. Josh Dasilva under pressure, back towards Zanka Jorgensen. Now Ben Mee with options ahead of him, over towards the left-hand side here. Jensen to Henry. He closed down by Patterson, goes back towards Mee. Once again, Everton really have flooded their own half while still keeping a high offside line, restricting Brentford as Zanka Jorgensen wanders forward. He finds Hickey down the right-hand side. Hickey into Mbeumo. Back towards Aaron Hickey, the Scotland international. Now goes back towards Dasilva, who tries to dig out a very deep cross. It turns out almost like a shot, really. Too close to Pickford. And makes a comfortable save.
He does, yeah. And like you just mentioned about the high line, it's almost as, again, just like the first half, that Brentford are resorting to these balls over the top, and it's just a bit too heavy from Dasilva there.
Well, neither manager has made a changes yet, as Everton put under pressure here straight away from Brentford. Just to run you through very quickly, it's Onyeka, Roslev, Godos, Baptiste, Lewis, Potter, Sorensen, Janelt, Damsgaard, and goalkeeper Strakosha on the bench for Brentford this afternoon. For Everton, it's Ruben Vinagre, Rondon, Davies, Mills, Coleman, Warrington, Keane, Allan, and goalkeeper Begovic. So a couple of strong players in that Everton on that Everton bench, but a couple of younger players as well, as Brentford have their. In fact, not just Brentford. We have our first booking of the afternoon. It's Yoan Wissa. Just leaving a bit of a foot. It was a nasty one from Wissa there. He treads down on Amadou Onana, and he actually had 2 goes at it as well.
Yeah, the initial contact sort of bent the ankle over of Onana. If that wasn't bad enough and Onana landed on the ground, there was another one from Wissa. It's a standard yellow card, really, nothing more.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, that was there's going to be a potential another yellow card here for a Brentford player, as Holgate was caught late just as he was playing that ball forward. Looking at the referee's body language, I don't think he's considering a yellow card here for the challenge on Holgate, but potentially early signs of some frustration here for the home side. They still haven't been able to get back into the game.
Exactly, and it really is too early to start getting. Well, you should never really be frustrated, but there's plenty of this half to go. And if Brentford keep giving rash challenges like this, Everton are just going to lap it up and take their time with it.
Absolutely, and the more time that Everton can take with free kicks, a strong challenge there from Onana, but clean one, says the referee, and Everton play on now. It breaks through towards Dwight McNeil, and then he finds a chance of strike coming in from Gordon after Gray can get a shot away. A rebound here, but Raya gets his hand to it just as McNeil was looking to put Everton 2 up. So after a good spell of pressure from Brentford, Everton very nearly doubling their lead.
They did, and it's a powerful challenge from Onana in the centre of the field, but he gets the ball, and then, yeah, as you say, McNeil finds Damari Gray fiddled out, but it's an instinctive first-time volley from Gordon, and it's a fumble from Raya, but he does well to close it down when Mikalenko's there for the rebound. It's a good chance for Everton, but yeah, Raya closes down well. He
does, makes up for the initial error by at least stopping the follow-up effort. Man City are back in the game at the Etihad. They're now 2-1 down against Palace, waiting for confirmation of the goal scorer. Here comes the corner kick for Everton, catching practice in the end for David Raya, who doesn't waste any time in taking his trying to punt the ball long, but then of course he gets stopped by Mason Holgate. Brentford unhappy, but it's one of those where Raya should have bowled it out really to try and avoid any contact with an Everton man. Still trying to argue the case there, Raya, that he feels that potentially there should have been a card there for Holgate, but I think in those situations you have to prove that the opposition player has literally stood in front. If he's got his back to you and he's running away after a set piece, you're not going to get booked for obstructing a goalkeeper that way.
No, but at the same time, I think there's an art in hiding your intentions.
Of course,
really.
Yeah, absolutely.
He might have unintentionally got in the way of Raya, but just getting in the way of that.
Accidentally on purpose,
well,
I think
exactly,
is the way to say there for Mason Holgate. But it's all about, if you've got a lead away from home, it's all about frustrating the home players, the home fans, because then it can translate into yellow cards for the opposition and potentially slow the game down as well, which is exactly what Everton want. They don't want Brentford to have too much time on the ball, as the Bees are now back in possession in Everton's half. Still a long way from goal though. Here's Zanka Jorgensen. A short ball now to Josh Dasilva. Dasilva into Tony. Tony now with his back to goal. Having to lay it back towards Zanka Jorgensen. Space here for Brentford really to try and work an opening, but here is Dasilva now. He finds Mbeumo, and Mbeumo then trying to lay it off towards Norgaard. His strike wasn't a clean strike, it almost turned out like a good pass into the box, but Everton are able to clear their lines. Raya steps up towards the halfway line, goes across towards Matthias Jensen, who's got space down the left here now. That's a poor ball from Jensen though, easily stopped by Cody. His clearance isn't great though, goes straight through to Norgaard, and eventually Everton get the ball via Iwobi towards Gordon down the right hand side, who chases that one all the way to the line. And just a little bit of afters there. Bryan Reamer, the Brentford assistant manager, seems a little bit unhappy there. Gordon's left a little bit as well, like he feels. I mean, I'm not sure that the Brentford assistant could have done any more, and I don't think that Gordon did anything deliberately either. It's just one of those where a bit of posturing, neither one wants to back down.
No, exactly. It was a 50-50 challenge really on the halfway line, and yeah, Ben Mee pushes into Anthony Gordon. He can't get out of the way of the shove, nor can he get out of the way of the assistant manager. It's a lose-lose situation for Gordon, but they're happy now.
They are, yeah. Embraced now from the two players. It looks like Seamus Coleman was acting as the negotiator there, trying to just get the 2 minute. As I say, there was no intention from either player. There's no sort of long-standing bad blood between these two sides, so there was no need to try and prolong that in any way. As Brentford try and do something different this time, rather than sort of playing through midfield, they try a long ball over the top to brick out Bryan Mbeumo. That's too long for him though. It's out for a goal kick, and still frustrating here for Brentford. 59 minutes gone, and it's still Brentford 0, Everton 1. Still no signs of any changes being readied by either manager. Bryan Reamer now with a smile on his face, back at his seat there next to Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank certainly isn't smiling though. He'll be very frustrated with how this game is going for him. Just to remind you as well that Brentford's next game is there's a full round of fixtures in midweek. Brentford play away to Crystal Palace, and Everton are also away from home. They play against Leeds United. Now there's a bit more physicality here in midfield. A bit of a collision there between Jens. It looks like Rico Henry was the man who's adjudged to have committed the foul on Amadou Onana. And say there's been a few sort of physical moments in this game. There is, I wouldn't say it's at the boiling point yet, but potentially a couple more challenges, and the home side's still frustrated. It could start to get a little bit more aggressive.
No, definitely. It really stemmed from that yellow card for Wissa about 5 minutes ago, and really there's been very little football in that space of time. A lot of argy-bargy.
Yeah, there certainly has been. And Brentford looked to try and restart play quickly there, but ball now back with Everton. Specifically Conor Cody, his ball up towards Anthony Gordon. He heads it down for Dwight McNeil. Under pressure though from Norgaard, having to track all the way back towards Jordan Pickford. He does so safely, no one charging Pickford down, so he's got time to play a diagonal ball to pick out Mykolenko down the left-hand side. He finds Gordon. Anthony Gordon now back towards Iwobi. This is a bit more fluid from Everton now. Exactly what they need to do here, frustrate the home side, not give them a chance of any attacking possession. Ball back with Tarkowski now into Amadou Onana. Looks up and finds Dwight McNeil just ahead of him. And then McNeil feeds the ball down the right-hand side here. A cross coming in from Patterson. It's a good cross, but it's also well marshalled. Firstly by me, secondly by Norgaard, and now Jensen back towards Jorgensen. But pressure here on the Brentford midfield and defence. Plenty of Everton players pressing. And me eventually now with a long ball up towards the halfway line, which is won by Holgate. And Iwobi didn't get a man on shout there, is robbed of the ball, and now a potential counter-attack here for Brentford, although Dasilva just dwelling on the ball there. So rolls over towards the right-hand side, insists on going alone there, Josh Dasilva, which was completely the wrong thing to do. It's all well and good him lying down there, hands splayed that he's been fouled, but he had ages to pass that ball and he didn't do it.
He did. I think he did the hard part by winning the ball back from Iwobi, but then Iwobi's tracked back and left a little bit on him. But yeah, it's that dithering in the middle of the park that's going to add to the frustration for Brentford, really.
Absolutely, yeah, he had plenty of time to get rid of that one, did Josh Dasilva. Brentford in possession down the right with Hickey into Mbeumo, back towards Dasilva now, but this is still 40 yards away from goal, and it's now with Matthias Jensen towards Norgaard. Again, no space at the edge of the Everton penalty area. Brentford having to try again now with Hickey back towards Dasilva. And then looking for an option there is Norgaard. There's the 7th goal at Anfield, and it's not a consolation for Bournemouth. But here come Brentford now down the right-hand side as a cross comes in. Gets a big deflection of Mykolenko, which takes the sting out the ball, and it's an easy save for Pickford.
It is. I think there was a touch on the cross which really took the sting out of it as well. It never really gained any distance from the ball. Well, I think Pickford's going to be happy to hold on for this as long as possible, because apart from maybe that chance from Gordon and Mykolenko, it's been Brentford in possession, but they can't get past that back three of Everton.
No, they can't. Both sides have had 11 efforts on goal, but Brentford have only have had 2 on target, albeit 3 of them have hit the woodwork as well. Everton have had 7 efforts on target, so they've certainly used their chances better than Brentford have, as the 7th goal for Liverpool was scored by Roberto Firmino, as Chelsea potentially getting a 2nd goal against Leicester City as well. We'll confirm that in a second. But Brentford win possession back here now with Dasilva, although Jensen's ball down the left for Mbeumo is just a little bit short. Brentford win it back though, and they have possession now on the halfway line with Jensen. And good run this down the left here from Josh Dasilva. Lays it off to Rico Henry. Puts a cross into the box, headed away, but it drops here to Mbeumo. Couldn't quite get a shot away himself. Him and Hickey swap passes. Mbeumo now trying an effort, and it's just wide. It's that left footer playing on the right-hand side. That is very much Bryan Mbeumo's position, going for that top corner and not missing it by very much at all.
No, from the angle that we had, it was from that in-swinging left foot strike from the far post. You think that could be nestling into the back of the net. It's interesting to see another angle how close it was. It's a bit of individual brilliance, really.
Hasn't quite got the curl, has it? He's almost hit it with his laces rather than getting that curve on the ball. And that's why it just eludes the top corner. But it's a good effort from Mbeumo. Chelsea, 10-man Chelsea, do have a second against Leicester City. And after Sterling's first goal, it's a 2nd goal for Raheem Sterling, who's finding the goal since he's arrived at Stamford Bridge. Long ball now towards Damari Gray, but he couldn't keep it in play. Throw on for Brentford taken by Ben Mee. They're looking to try and keep the energy levels up as much as possible. Still got 26 minutes plus injury time to go in this game. But here is Mbeumo now down the right-hand side. His ball is easily cleared with the head of Conor Cody. Loose ball picked up here by Norgaard. He tries to get a ball into the box, which is cleared by Onana, but not too far. Kept alive now by Jensen. A ball put in towards the back post, headed away by Tarkowski. It's a good header as well because it goes out for a throw rather than a corner.
It does. It's a solid clearance from Tarkowski, but this is going to be, well, as Brentford look to make a change here, but it's from a long throw position again, just like it was about maybe 10 minutes ago when Norgaard had that strike to hit the crossbar, so could be another one here. Yeah,
could try and launch it towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Man City have got a second, by the way. It's now 2-2 between Man City and Crystal Palace. Bernardo Silva got the first for Man City, and Erling Haaland has the second. Brentford now with this throw on from the left-hand side, and Jensen really has gone as far back to the advertising boards as he can to get as much of a run-up. He launches it towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It bounces off the back of an Everton player's head, I think, in the end, and lands in the arms of Jordan Pickford.
It does, yeah, and well, that one didn't pay off that time. I think Everton realised the opportunity that Norgaard had last time, and they've really tried to bring everybody back, and well, they've got a man down here. I'm not entirely sure who it is, but
I can't quite tell from this angle who it is that's got the injury problem. But it will allow the physio to come on. We did see a couple of, at least one Brentford player standing there with his tracksuit off, and that was Keane Lewis Potter, the former Hull City man, getting ready to come on for Brentford. And he actually got a goal as well for Brentford in the game against the cup game that they won in midweek away to Colchester United. Roslev was the other goal scorer there. As Pickford now taking advantage of the fact that there is a bit of a break in play to have a quick drinks break. It's still pretty warm across the whole country. It is Mason Holgate that has the problem. So if he had to go off, there are a couple of options. There is Michael Keane, and I suppose even Coleman had to push as well. So so I suppose, and even Vinagre can play in that role if needs be. But you would imagine it'd be Keane if Holgate does have to go off.
Oh no, very likely. I think Keane can definitely operate on that right side of that back three. I think, well, of course, the priority of Frank Lampard is that Holgate doesn't come off at all, because he's had quite a solid game, really. But if the change needs to be made, and that's another defensive injury, really, for Everton in only 4 games into the season. It's a concern for them.
It certainly is. A goal for Leicester City, potentially concerned for 10-man Chelsea. Harvey Barnes with the goal for Leicester, so they have got a man advantage and still 20-plus minutes to play in that game. There's also been a goal at the Amex, and Brighton have a lead against Leeds United. So Brighton, who have made a good start to this season, potentially looking for another win. Looking at the body language of Mason Holgate and the hand signals from the physio, this may have to be a change here.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming into play as well. Yeah, and as you said, Michael Keane is going to be the player to come on here. So it's a like for like, really. But yeah, he's got about 25 minutes really to hold out and keep that clean sheet. Absolutely.
So 67 minutes gone. We have reached the 3-quarter mark in the game. Brentford still trailing against Everton by a goal. It will be Ben to take us through to full time.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, well, the injury to Mason Holgate kind of brought an impromptu drinks break, which is going to be happily taken up by Everton. And as Everton make a change, Brentford have made 2 changes. Like Keane Lewis Potter, as you mentioned, has come on. It looking for Yoan Wissa was one of the substitutions. It'd be interesting to see who the other one was.
It's Vitaly Janelt, who's a central midfielder. But he's sort of showing sort of different numbers on his hands there, on his fingers. So I do wonder whether or not there's going to be a slight change of formation. Looks like it's a triple substitution. Shandon Baptiste is on for Brentford as well. But as we were still getting shots of the play of Mason Holgate going off, we didn't actually get to see who the 3 changes were for Brentford. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. We'll keep checking to confirm. But Baptiste is definitely on for the Bees, as is Vitaly Janelt. Both of them are central midfielders, defensive midfielders, all central midfielders, and Lewis Potter, of course, sort of either a forward or a winger. But here come Everton now with Gordon.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, and we've got Mikalenko on this side now, going to get that floated ball to the back post. Patterson using his pace to try and keep it back, and he does. He hooks it back into play, actually. It's quite a good ball, but it comes into Brentford's possession now. Norgaard out wide. Gordon's pressed brilliantly there. He's got the ball back in possession for Everton on this far right side. Comes inside to Alex Iwobi. Got time to think. He tries to loft that ball into Damari Gray. Can't really do much. He tries to flick it on. Mbeumo's going to try and shield this one out of play. He does brilliantly to hold off Anthony Gordon there. And you'd imagine, given there's about 12, well, not including added time, we're going to have about 20 minutes of the game left. Adrai is going to want to get this one back into play rather quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Raya is going to want to restart play quickly. Just to confirm the 3 changes for Brentford: Zanke Jorgensen, Christain Norgaard and Yoan Wissa go off. So this may well mean that Brentford have changed their formation slightly. Wissa will be replaced by Lewis Potter. Baptiste will go into midfield for Norgaard, and I think Janelt was going to be asked to just sit a little bit deeper.
Yes, and of course with 5 substitutions as the rule now in the Premier League, I think Thomas Frank's trying to make the most of it, getting a triple in now, and with 20 minutes to go, he'll likely make the other ones, given that the players on the pitch haven't managed to get that equaliser so far. Michael Keane's first involvement of the game is to clear it out on his left-hand side for a Brentford corner.
Yeah, so a chance now for Brentford to get players forward again. They've not actually had too many set pieces in this second half. It's going to be over on the left-hand side, so right-footed Jensen and left-footed Mbeumo. The 2 regular corner kick takers are there for Brentford.
Most definitely, apart from a flurry of long throws on this same side as where the corner will be taken. Brentford will be hoping to make the most of this set piece. The Everton defence have dealt well with it. They've got a lot of height at the back, but so do Brentford in attack. It looks like, well, it's between Janelt and Mbeumo. It's going to be the in-swinger towards the centre of the area. It gets cleared away by Tarkowski. Played away to Baptiste, who gets it back in. Headed further in, and it's a header as well. A brilliant save from Jordan Pickford, and then the rebound, it comes too quickly to, I'm not really sure who that was. It looked maybe Ivan Toney in the 6-yard box. But it's pushed away by Pickford, and Everton charged down, and it's a half chance for Brentford. The first of the 2 was the greater opportunity. Yeah,
it was a lovely volley ball in from Henry to find Lewis Potter, and then his header towards the right-hand edge of the 6-yard box. I think it's Janelt with the header that forces that save from Pickford. It's a very good save low down as well. Just see, it was Vitaly Janelt, sort of flicked it almost with the back of his head. Pickford pushes it away from the post, and then, as you say, the Brentford player just a bit rushed into the second effort, which goes over the bar.
Well, it's a solid involvement for Janelt, really, getting into this game now. He's going to be a threat from those set pieces, but we do see Everton in possession again now, happily to pass it round the back for a bit. Yeah, Vitaly Janelt checks back and goes back to the England goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford, who's going to thump it forward. And it's going to be straight out of play. The Everton attack have sort of kind of sat off now. They're not really expecting any attack. Well, David Wright's going to get chased down by Damari Gray there, back into his area, so he could pick it up. And he'll roll it back out to Janelt. Inside now to Dasilva. And then to Jensen. They're going to play it from right to left. Rico Henry now into Janelt again. Jensen just there sitting back in almost like a quarterback role, trying to spray out to the far right-hand side, where James Tarkowski will take no chances really there. Clear it straight out of play. It's a chance for Brentford to get in a throw-in, and Mbeumo's going to pick up the ball quickly, try and get it back into play, as he does. Out to Hickey, inside now to Dasilva. Threads it into Ivan Toney. Back to Dasilva now. Inside to Jensen. Not a lot of pressure. The central midfielding pair of Onana and Alex Iwobi happy to just allow Brentford to make their move first. Lewis Potter bringing it back into Janelt, and then out wide. Eventually to Rico Henry, tackled by Dwight McNeil. Of course, Everton, the only change they've made so far, 73 minutes gone, has been a defensive change. So not many attacking options for the Toffees on the bench, only Solomon Rondon and Mills. Oh, there's complaints in the box now, and Lewis Potter has a chance to cut it back. There's a header for Dasilva, I think it was, but it was a tame effort. There was about 6 Everton defenders between the attacker and the goalkeeper, and there's not much else he could do. He headed it into the ground, but it took the pace out of it.
It's almost like the 2 Brentford players got in each other's way there as well. That initial diving header from Connor Cody could have done with being a little bit further away. And as you say, Dasilva was Tony was thinking about hooking it with his foot. Dasilva was jumping just behind him, and in the end it just bounces through to Pickford. Man City have turned things around completely now at the Etihad. They were 2-0 down at half-time after an own goal from Stones and a goal from... I'll just break off from that because here come Everton.
Onana and Damari Gray's 1-on-1, pressed by Ben Mee, checks back. Is that the right... Well, it might be the right decision, but he gets the shot away, blocked eventually by Mee, comes straight back to Gray. It's a heavy touch, and Mee's going to clear out. You have to wonder, really, should have Damari Gray checked back there. He's got an ability with his left and right foot. Well, he's just seen his frustration there. I think he knows he's made the wrong decision.
He's slamming the turf in anger there is Damari Gray, because he's always got the pace to get past Ben Mee. But then it's that second touch, once he gets past Mee, almost plays it back into the path of the Brentford defender, and that just slows everything down, and then Mee sees enough of the ball to slide in without ever risking giving away a foul.
No, exactly. Mee went to ground, and he held his ground quite well, really, to get the shot blocked off. Regardless, it was a half chance for Everton, but they do get this corner opportunity, which Gray will take. The man that did have that opportunity to double Everton's lead. He'll swing it now towards the centre of the box. It's under Tarkowski, who gets a header away, pressed by the Brentford defence. It goes to the right-hand side of Brentford's goal.
Yeah, Tarkowski with his hand up there, potentially appealing for another corner. Didn't think that there was much of a touch there to suggest that it should be. Brentford play out from the back, but game plan still working for Everton here, I would say.
No, it is, yes, and Brentford have made some attacking changes. They've still got that room for 2 more, but so Everton have been able to adapt with the change in formation that Thomas Frank has made, and they're back in possession here with Damari Gray on the far left side. Plays it back into Mikalenko, into Onana, who's getting pressed by Lewis Potter. Finds the ball out to Connor Cody now. It's Dwight McNeil. Did you see Michael Keane there? Almost playing as a fullback. I think he's given licence for Patterson to use his pace really to run forward, given that I think Everton will be happy in possession, and then when they have an opportunity they might swing it out wide to Patterson. Instead, they played the long ball to Anthony Gordon, a bit too heavy, and it's another goal kick for Brentford. 15 minutes to go here at the Gtech Community Stadium. Brentford 0, Everton 1. Everton happy to maintain. Well, Brentford are going to make their 4th change. It looks like Mikkel Damsgaard, who will make his first Premier League appearance, having played in the EFL Cup midweek against Colchester. He, of course, made a menace of himself against England in the Euros last summer. He
did, yes. Scored a great free kick, and just had his injury problems at Sampdoria. Brentford taking a chance on him. Of course, with this large Danish contingent that Brentford had, it was a good option for Damsgaard as well. But here come Brentford now with a deep cross coming in just over the head of everyone, though.
No, it is. It was whipped back in by Rico Henry. Onana does well to read it and clear it out of play. And this will probably give Brentford the chance now to make that substitution. Mikkel Damsgaard making, both his Premier League debut and his home. No, in fact, they've taken it quickly. So Brentford are going to keep it in possession. Jensen into Dasilva. Out back wide to Janelt, who's going to play it into Rico Henry, getting pressed well by both Nathan Patterson and Anthony Gordon. Baptiste comes into the centre of the field and he gets it to me, and there's a time to think here, and Baptiste offers a short option again. Threads it into Lewis Potter, pressed by Michael Keane, who's come central. He's going to run back into the box. There's going to be a ball potentially in here from Hickey. He plays it inside to Dasilva, into Lewis Potter. Tries to thread it back to Dasilva, but Connor Cody does well to press him. And Mbeumo now gets that ball in. Patterson clears it, but it falls kindly to... it looked like a fantastic interception from Onana, just as about Lewis Potter was going to pull the trigger. Everton making a bit of a mess of the clearance here. Eventually, looks like it's going to be a foul won, much to the frustration of Ivan Toney, really. But
there's frustration from Brentford because they felt that just before the free kick, which I don't think they could complain about the foul being given, but they're very vociferous, Brentford, here in appealing a penalty. They think there was a handball here in the build-up. Let's just see if there's any argument for that at all. As the strike comes in, where is the handball that Brentford are unhappy about? I think it might be there off Iwobi. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not VAR want to take another look at this one. But Iwobi's arm is down by his side. Does he do anything to actually move the ball away with his hand? Could he do more to avoid it? It's not the greatest angle we've just seen there, so it's a difficult one to tell. Now we'll see from this angle.
The arm's slightly raised. There's always a debate of what is an unnatural and natural position.
Yeah, it's also the fact that it's deflected off his chest, which I know can sometimes make a difference as well, as Brentford do make that change.
Yep, and Mbeumo coming off. It's a like-for-like, really. You'd imagine Damsgaard operating on that right-hand side. Still yet to see if the referee will make his mind up on whether to use VAR for this handball. Lewis Potter trying to get past Alex Iwobi from about 15 yards out. Everton are going to make a change now as well. It's going to be a midfield substitution. Tom Davis going to try and shore that up as the Belgian Amadou Onana comes off. And Everton are showing no signs of changing any really formation. Every substitution they've made so far is a like for like. As for Brentford, they have seemed to go into a different formation, 3 back. Well, it looks like the referee is not going to get any assistance from the VAR official, so we're back into play with Jordan Pickford thumping it forward. Anthony Gordon, of course, not a striker, so he's not really going to win that ball in the air, and in fact he was offside. Nathan Patterson cheekily trying to run away with the ball to buy any seconds necessary.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what you need to do. You need to try and keep frustrating the home side, delaying anything that they're trying to do, just to make it a little bit more difficult for them to get into the game. But Brentford, well, they've been trying and trying in the second half. They've had their chances, but they've been met with a very stiff Everton defence.
No, they absolutely haven't. There's a ball over the top. The Pickford's going to try and clear with his head. It's a solid sweeper giving action for him. Tom Davis' first action, just a they're going to be thumping up the field. Now it's going to go straight up for a throw-in. Just nearly entering the 80th minute now. 10 minutes to go in all of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. There's a few games still in the balance. Brighton 1 up at home against Leeds. Of course, Chelsea with 10 men managed to get 2 goals against Leicester, but the Foxes did draw a goal back. The only one that really is in contention, of course, is Anfield, who currently are 7-0 up against Bournemouth. The Cherries having a torrid time in Merseyside. And Manchester City so far have completed their comeback from 2-0 down to come back to 3-2 at the Etihad, as here is another example of a one-goal game. Everton currently leading 1-0 against Brentford. 10 minutes away from their first league win of the season, of course, earning victory in the League Cup against Fleetwood. It was a narrow victory again, 1-0, but Lampard will be delighted with what's going on so far. It's been a professional performance from Everton at the moment, really, hasn't it?
It has. They've been very well organised. They've dealt with everything that Brentford have thrown at them. They've ridden their luck a couple of times with the balls off the woodwork and the near misses, but the fact is that organisationally I've been impressed with Everton today, and Brentford have found it very difficult to get past them.
They're exactly showing a lot of improvement, really, Everton under Frank Lampard now. Well, it's going to be about 20 yards out. Brentford get the ball back into possession. It's out wide to Dasilva against Mikalenko, who does brilliantly to get the tackle in for a corner.
He does well there, Mikalenko, and considering that Dasilva, although he scored with his right foot, excuse me, against Manchester United, he normally doesn't even pass 5 yards with his right foot. So the fact that he had to get it on his left, and he wasn't comfortable with it being on his right, meant that Mikalenko always had the time to get in. Just a little bit of cramp there for Mikalenko as he puts that challenge in. It will be a corner to Brentford. Meanwhile, Liverpool hit 8 against Bournemouth, and it's Carvalho.
Play short from the corner here for Brentford. Janelt's going to get the ball in now after a flurry of passes. Tarkowski good as well to clear it out. Will he keep it in? He's going to overrun it likely. He thinks no. The shake of the head of Tarkowski suggests it's going to be another corner for Brentford. They've had a large number of set pieces in the second half. Well, it looks like there's going to be a yellow card here for somebody. I'm not really sure who. I
think it's the issue was that Pickford was holding on to the ball after the corner kick was given. I don't think he's going to get booked just for trying to pretend it wasn't a corner. I think he may have just refused to give the ball back when the referee had already made that decision. But it is a corner to Brentford from the left-hand side.
Very likely, yes. And I think for the last 15 minutes now, the plan really has been clear for Everton to try and shore up this game, just maintain the one-goal lead. The ball will come in now. The in-swing is cleared out by the Everton defence into Baptista now. Dasilva 20 yards out, going to play it back out wide for Janssen, who gets that in-swinging again. Dealt well by Tarkowski, who's won a lot of headers in there. And it looks like there's not going to be a foul. Anthony Gordon's writhing in pain, holding his back there. Everton half get it clear by the assistance of Dasilva, who played it back into Hickey. Hickey's got it again, the Scottish full-back, plays it inside to Dasilva. Every Everton man behind the ball here, about 30 yards out. Here's Baptiste going to swing it out. It's underneath the head of... I'm not sure that was actually maybe Janelt.
Jumping for it, and then he just put a little bit too much on that head in the end, and it was Potter Lewis. Sorry, Lewis Potter was trying to get the ball back there for Brentford, but it was just too much on that one for him to keep it in play. Thomas Frank getting ever more frustrated here. His side have just got 8 minutes plus injury time to try and get back into this game.
Yeah, Janelt staying up there, maybe showing that I don't know, that maybe a sense of desperation really for Brentford. They're going to keep a defender up there to increase the likelihood of an equaliser, but an Everton goal kick, which, Pickford does have to be careful not to waste too much time, given that he's just earned himself a yellow card about 2 minutes ago.
Well, you say that. I don't think there's ever going to be a referee brave enough to book a goalkeeper twice for wasting time, or give him a second yellow for wasting time, although it may happen eventually if one of the goalkeepers really is pushing it, but that would take a brave referee, I think.
Well, definitely would, yes. And it's with the other keeper this time now, David Raya, playing it in to Baptiste out to the left-hand side for Janelt, pressed by Dwight McNeil, who, offered by this time, will have come off. For Frank Lampard, obviously happy with what he's seen from the ex-Burnley winger. Out to the far right side for Dasilva into Hickey now. Gordon just taking a few yards off just to make sure that the pass has to go further back, which it does, into Jensen. Lofted through ball into Hickey on the far side, but dealt well with by Tarkowski. It looks like it's going to be another cut. Yes, Mikalenko couldn't keep it in play and clear it out for a throw, and instead it has gone for a corner. He doesn't agree with the linesman again, but I'd love to see the statistic count of the amount of corners really in the second half for Brentford, because they've come thick and fast now, especially.
They have. They've got quite a few of them now, have Brentford. They've had corner kicks in the game. They've had 7, and 4 of them have been in the second half, as Manchester City have a 4th against Palace. But here comes the corner kick for Brentford. Now it's going to be an outswinger from Jensen.
Jensen yet again, as you say, an outswinger into the near post, and it's tucked in. Is it not? It might be offside. No, it isn't. And it's Janelt, and is he?
Well,
yes, it is. He's been given a goal.
The goal's been given.
Really.
The goal's been given. We'll wait and see. I mean, I agree with you, Ben. I think that there could potentially be an offside there from the corner, but we'll wait and see. As it stands, Brentford have got a goal. Still hasn't been confirmed here on our screen whether or not the goal will be disallowed, but we'll see from this replay. Everton do push out when this... Ooh, it's close. Mykolenko might just pay him onside there.
I think you're right there.
So we'll wait and see as Liverpool hit 9 against Bournemouth. 9 goals for Liverpool today against Bournemouth. Diaz with the 9th. Janelt the substitute with the goal. And it's a big goal as well for Brentford if it stands. Looking at that last replay, I think he's probably level there, do you think?
I think you're right. It's brilliantly poached by Janelt. Finally one of the corners paying off. Of course, he had a half chance just only a few minutes ago, and it's a tap in from 3 yards out. And, well, but the suggestion seems that they are going to give this goal. And Brentford finally, the pressing has paid off in the second half. 84th minute went in for 1-1. And,
double change getting readied here by Frank Lampard as well. Demarai Gray looked like he was going to be going off, but in fact it is going to be Dwight McNeil who's going to be the first player to go off here for Everton.
As I just mentioned, he never really makes it this far into the game, and of course now Frank Lampard making that decision. It looked like Rondon was one of the players, of course a more recognised striker.
It's frustrating for Everton. It's the second week in a row that they've led a game and then conceded late on.
Yeah, it is. And, well, based on the performance in Ruben and Vinagre comes on as well.
For Mykolenko,
Mykolenko, it seems, yes, I like for like. It's frustrating for Everton, not least because, well, based on this second half, they really haven't created many opportunities. So you'd think that the first win of the season likely isn't going to come. But they charge forward here. Conor Cody with a long ball who finds the reference in that striker of Rondon to flick it on. Comes to nothing in the end. They're going to get a throw in, the Toffees, in their own defensive half. You can imagine that, as you say, it's another late goal conceded. Frank Lampard's going to be very frustrated because for the vast majority of the game, albeit Brentford have had many good opportunities, the system has worked well for them. Patterson now into Iwobi. A few tight corner passes dealt well with Davis. Back to Iwobi. Hounded out by 3 Brentford players, but Everton do manage to find some space eventually with Conor Cody.
Well, this is where both sides have really got to concentrate now. Everton are desperate to try and perhaps get a late winner here. Don't want to leave themselves exposed. And Brentford, having equalised late on, don't want to think that the job's done and Everton are going to roll over. So the next 4 minutes could be very exciting.
And of course, when Everton did score in the first half, it allowed Brentford to have a flurry of chances. So Brentford do have to be careful now, given that they have scored. Everton in possession with Alex Iwobi, plays it back to Conor Cody, who's tried a few long balls, like he just did for the assist for Anthony Gordon in the first half. Instead, they're going to play it through the back and in forward for Michael Keane, who's charging forward. He tried the through ball at the edge of the area, and, well, Patterson's snatched at the ball, and it's high wide, not very handsome from the Scottish fullback. Brentford, it'd be interesting to see if they want to get this back into play and go for a winner. But so far, it seems David Reyes happy to take his time.
Yeah, he's not sort of rushing to take it quickly and get play restarted, is he? But this was a decent enough chance for Everton. Keane getting a long way forward, and Demarai Gray with a very frustrated look there towards Patterson, because Patterson wasn't forced to take on a shot like that.
No, he wasn't. There were options elsewhere, and normally when you see a defensive player sort of go for goal, there's always going to be a moan from an attacker thinking, oh well, the ball should be with me really. But Brentford just passing it around the back now at 88th minute, as it is at Anfield, and Liverpool currently have the joint record of goal scoring in the Premier League, just like Leicester 9, Southampton 0, and Man United 9, Southampton 0 again. Of course, another South Coast team in Bournemouth this time, conceding 9 goals.
Well, you're probably not old enough to remember when Man United beat Ipswich 9-0 as well, but that was the first time. We've never had double figures in the Premier League, and I'm thinking there may be a chance of that today. As here come Brentford. That's good work, though, from Keane to clear it to the halfway line.
Yep. A few more minutes for Liverpool to try and get that 10th goal. Interesting to see if Jurgen Klopp would want that record. As for at the Gtech Community Stadium, Brentford are coming forward to Dasilva, marked by Ruben Vinagre. But he's going to, well, it looked like he was going to cross onto the right, but as you said earlier, he's a hesitation to play on his right. He checks back. The ball comes in from Hickey this time. It's an in-swinger, dealt well with Conor Cody, cleared out. And Davis, well, comfortably heads it into Vinagre, who loses possession again. It's a bit of a sloppy play from Everton as they try to clear the ball. Dasilva into Hickey now into Baptiste, back out to Dasilva, who's looking to get the in-swinger, which he does. Oh, it's an acrobatic effort. It looked from Ivan Toney, but so often with those, when you charge down by a defender, if you don't get it spot on and there's a touch on the defender, he's going to give a free kick.
It is. You've got to be aware of who's around you. It's not just a case of launching yourself and then hoping for the best, like it used to be back in the day where players could just get kicked around and it's just one of them. On this occasion, Ivan Toney just being a little bit too keen there to try and get on the end of this. It's an acrobatic effort which catches The Everton man, Connor Cody square. Well, he catches him on the shoulder rather than in the face, but it's still a little bit careless from somebody.
Yeah, by the time the contact was made, Cody had already rotated himself around to sort of protect himself. But as you say, as soon as you would initiate the contact in a situation like that, then the referee's going to be happy to give a free kick, which, again, Jordan Pickford's taken no time to take. But I think given the equaliser now, I don't think Brentford fans are going to be moaning of any time wasted, maybe. Gets it out to the far right-hand side. Rondon gets a slight touch on it, passes it into Gordon. It's dealt well with by Janelt. Well, Janelt loses it straight back to the Venezuelan forward, Rondon, who can't find anybody of note. Janelt plays it back to Rico Henry, charged down by Anthony Gordon, who does well. Rico Henry does fantastically there because he's pressed by both Anthony Gordon and Solomon Rondon. Earns a free kick for the Bees, and that might take us into the 90th minute and beyond. It'll be interesting to see how much added time is given by the fourth official.
Oh, I think 4 or 5 minutes, I would guess. I think we had a long injury stoppage, didn't we? When Holgate was down, we've had a few substitutions. We've had a goal scored as well. So I would say minimum 4, possibly 5. But I'd be surprised if it's more than that.
I agree. Four changes made by each team. Got one left. You'd maybe consider they might not make that. As King Lewis Potters on this left wing, plays it back to Rico Henry, who's pressed by Nathan Patterson. Plays a delightful through ball really onto his far side for Janelt to get the ball in. It's blocked by Tom Davis, and it's another corner for Brentford, just like they scored about 6 minutes ago. 5 minutes added on, so there's plenty of time for a winner for either team here, but it looks like Brentford could be the ones with the greater opportunity. Yeah,
they just seem to be just seeing that little bit more of the ball, and it's almost natural that when you're the team that have led and then you concede late on, it's almost like you're not going to go for the win, then you're going to sit back to preserve what you've got, whereas Brentford perhaps at home with the crowd behind them just believing they could push on. They've got this corner kick now, plenty of activity inside that penalty area.
No, definitely. It's like Everton don't really want to gamble to make a loss, but Janssen gets the ball in. It's cleared out. It looks again by Tarkowski, who's been fantastic at the back, really, albeit they have conceded. He's done very well with the incessant crosses that Brentford have made in set pieces and long throws, of course. But it's back with Janelt, miscontrol. Passon doesn't clear it that far. Rico Henry gets the ball in. It looked like there was an appeal for an arm, but it looks like Tarkowski dealt with it just about well enough. A shot comes in there from Hickey. Instead, comes back out for the outswinging ball, punched away by Pickford. There's a lot of action in the Everton defensive penalty area this time. They're having to clamber to try and hold on to this draw as Dasilva's on this left-hand side this time, charged down by Anthony Gordon. Dasilva, well, I think he was tackled in the end by Anthony Gordon, and the ball was rebounded off the Brentford player.
Yeah, frustration there from Dasilva, but Thomas Frank beckoning one of his substitutes to come back to the bench. Just looking at the Brentford bench, who else they would have in terms of a defensive... Well, it looks like it's Mads Roslev coming on, who is sort of a defensive midfielder, can play as a central midfielder as well. So this may just be a sign that Thomas Frank just wants to preserve what he's got here. And he's run a big race today as Josh Dasilva. He's got coming off for the last few minutes.
No, he's had a solid performance in the midfield of Brentford. And, well, yes, they've made the most of their substitutions now. Mads Sorensen coming in for Dasilva to see the game through, which only has just less than 3 minutes remaining, as a goal kick is thumped forward by Jordan Pickford. Looking, well, it's not even anywhere near Rondon this time. Instead, it was more towards Anthony Gordon, who's not going to win that header. It bounces kindly for Tarkowski, plays out wide for Vinagre, who gets past Baptiste rather well. And if he can get a cross in here, it'll be a half opportunity for Everton. He tries to get past Hickey as well, which he does. Hickey does well to block the cross eventually, and well, he's out of position now. So Baptiste's going to charge forward, and it's a rash challenge from Anthony Gordon. I think he knew that a possible Brentford counter-attack was on. I think that's a very, well, in every sense, a yellow card, really, isn't it?
Yeah, nailed on booking. Ben Mee perhaps just trying to suggest that it needed to be a little bit more than a yellow. I don't think it's ever going to be more than a yellow there because it's still well in the Brentford half. And although it's a bad challenge, it's not some reckless lunge. It's just deliberately trying to stop a counter-attack. And he wanted to trip the man rather than injure him, I would say.
No, exactly. A trip is definitely the word I'd use. I think maybe Anthony Gordon's had to work his socks off today, of course. He's had to dabble on the left, right and in the centre for Everton. It's maybe some tired legs that he just thought, well, I'm not going to catch up to the Brentford man, so I'll take him out instead.
And credit to Anthony Gordon, because there has been a lot of talk about him moving to Chelsea, big transfer fee, and he's actually put in a very good shift for Everton.
No, he has, got really the goal. Well, exactly. He's answered the speculation with a goal for Everton, his boyhood club, of course. Rico Henry drills a ball in, dealt well with Michael Keane, who can launch it into the West London sky, but it falls kindly to Baptiste now. Into Janelt and to Rico Henry. Sorensen offering the overlap. Instead, the ball is deflected off Damari Gray, cleared out by a combination of Michael Keane and Nathan Patterson. It's going to be a throw-in about 30 yards out on the left-hand side for Brentford. Not an option for a long throw this time. Instead, they go back to Ben Mee. And, well, to survey their options, it goes instead to Janelt this time. Lofts it forward, looking for Baptiste, but again Tarkowski wins another header. He's been very solid at the back, and it falls kindly to Vinagre, but Everton just giving away possession so recklessly here. But then, oh my goodness,
wow.
I mean,
that's good. That could be a red card for Aaron Hickey. I think he's really charged into. Well, it's going to be a yellow, but it's a strong yellow, I would say, from the Brentford right back.
Well, it was, and I think the referee just it wasn't easy on the eye, and I think the referee, so focused on that challenge, didn't realise that Anthony Gordon was in possession on the halfway line with the Brentford defence committed, and you just saw him punch in the air in frustration.
He's quite lucky there, Hickey,
yeah.
I would say, because just because he hasn't completed his slide tackle when he makes contact with Vinagre, if he'd hit him another half a yard further back, he would have hit him with a boot there, I think.
No, I think you're right, and he went in with the sliding tackle, and his left boot came down, which maybe also slowed him down and limited the intensity of the contact. But instead, last chance maybe for Everton is flicked on by Solomon Rondon and cleared for Ben Mee, and well, with only 15 seconds left, it looks like Everton are going to be the team that end this game.
Yeah, that foul from Hickey just slowed down that little bit of pressure and ended that bit of pressure that Brentford had on Everton's goal, and here come the visitors again.
No, exactly, Michael Keane just running out of possession there. Janelt did well in it. Well, he eventually won it. It looked like Lewis Potter actually was doing defensive duties, out-muscling the centre-back of Everton, and that might be the last action of the game. You might see David Raya thump. Well, he does now. He launches it forward. The referee not going to his whistle just yet. Everton do clear that free kick from Raya, and there you go. The referee does.
Oh, does he?
He looked. He hesitated. He put the whistle to his mouth, but then maybe the launch forward from Everton made him hesitate. But there we go. Second time of asking. The referee does put the whistle to his mouth. The spoils shared at the Gtech Community Stadium. Maybe a slight frustration for Frank Lampard, given that Everton did hold on for so long in that game from that first half goal by Anthony Gordon. But it was in the 84th minute that Vitaly Janelt was responsible for the equaliser for Brentford. Everton still without a victory in the league, but Brentford will be happy to take a point from there. It's finished Brentford 1, Everton 1.